In a kingdom nestled between whispering woods and shimmering mountains, lived a princess named Ilara. She was renowned not for her beauty, though it was as radiant as the dawn, but for her heart, which was as kind and warm as the summer sun. But a shadow had fallen over her life. On the day she was born, a bitter sorceress, scorned by the royal family years ago, had placed a cruel curse upon her. The curse stated that on her 18th birthday, Princess Ilara would fall into an enchanted, unbreakable slumber, a sleep from which she could only be awakened by true love's first kiss. As Ilara's 18th birthday drew near, a palpable fear settled over the castle. The king and queen, desperate to save their daughter, sent out a decree across all the lands. They promised half their kingdom and the princess' hand in marriage to any prince who could break the curse. Princes from far and wide, drawn by tales of Ilara's grace and the allure of a vast fortune, began to arrive. They came on magnificent steeds, bearing gifts of shimmering silks and sparkling jewels. Each one was handsome, charming, and confident. One by one, the princes were led to the throne room, where the king and queen had devised a series of trials, hoping to find a suitor whose love was genuine. The first trial was a test of courage. They were asked to retrieve a single perfect moon petal from the heart of the gloomwood, a forest enchanted to confuse and disorient any who entered. Many princes boasted of their bravery and marched into the woods, but none returned with the flower. They were either lost to the forest illusions or returned empty-handed, their courage failing them in the face of magical fear. The second trial was a test of wisdom. A wise old sphinx was summoned to the castle gardens, and it posed a riddle that had stumped scholars for generations. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? The princes pondered, they debated, they offered countless incorrect answers, but the sphinx remained unimpressed. Their minds, filled with strategies for battle and court politics, could not grasp the simple truth of the riddle. Their wisdom, it seemed, was only for worldly gains. The third and final trial was a test of kindness. An old, frail woman, cloaked in rags, would approach each prince as they left the castle, begging for a piece of bread or a sip of water. The princes, annoyed by the interruption and disdainful of her lowly state, would brush her aside, sometimes tossing a single coin without a second glance. They saw her not as a person in need, but as a nuisance. And so, prince after prince failed. Their hearts were not filled with true compassion, but with ambition and pride. Meanwhile, far from the grand castle and its parade of princely suitors, lived a young man named Liam. He wasn't a prince. He was a humble woodcarver who lived in a small cottage at the edge of the royal woods. He had seen Princess Ilara only once, from a distance, as she rode through the forest, distributing food and blankets to the poor. He was struck not by her royal title, but by the genuine warmth in her smile and the gentle way she spoke to everyone, regardless of their station. From that day on, he was hopelessly in love with her. Liam heard the whispers of the curse and the trials, and his heart ached for the princess. He knew he had no royal blood, no riches to offer. All he had was his love. He felt powerless, but he couldn't stand by and do nothing. So, with a determined heart, he decided he would face the trials. Not for the kingdom or the glory, but for Ilara. He first ventured into the gloomwood. The trees seemed to twist into menacing shapes, and whispers of doubt and failure echoed in his ears. But Liam did not focus on the fear. Instead, he thought of Ilara's courage in facing her fate. He remembered the stories of how she would visit the sick, unafraid of catching their illnesses. Her strength became his own. He closed his eyes, ignored the illusions, and followed the faint, sweet scent of the moon petal, a scent only a heart full of love could detect. After hours of walking, he found it, a single silver flower glowing softly in a small clearing. Next, he traveled to the castle gardens to face the Sphinx. He listened carefully to the riddle. I have cities, but no houses. I have mountains, but no trees. I have water, but no fish. What am I? Liam didn't think of treasure or power. He thought of the simple things he loved. the stories his grandmother used to read to him from old worn books. He remembered the illustrations within them, the intricate drawings that held entire worlds. With a quiet confidence, he answered, "You are a map." The Sphinx smiled, a rare and wondrous sight, and nodded. "Wisdom is not about knowing all the answers," it rumbled, "but about looking at the world with an open heart." As Liam left the gardens, his spirit soaring, he was approached by the old, frail woman. She looked tired and hungry, and his heart immediately went out to her. He had very little himself, just a small loaf of bread and a waterskin for his journey. Without hesitation, he knelt beside her, broke his bread in half, and offered her the larger piece, along with his waterskin. "Please, take it all," he said gently. "You need it more than I do." The old woman looked at him, her eyes seeming to pierce right through him. Then, her ragged form shimmered and transformed. Standing before him was a beautiful enchantress, the very same one who had guarded the moon petal in the forest and acted as the Sphinx. She was a friend of the royal family, tasked with ensuring the trials were true. "Your kindness is your greatest treasure," she said with a warm smile. "You have passed the trials." Liam was brought before the king and queen, just as the sun began to set on Ilara's 18th birthday. At that very moment, a gasp was heard from the princess's chambers. The curse had taken hold. The king and queen, their faces etched with grief, led the humble woodcarver to Ilara's room. She lay on her bed, beautiful as ever, but still and silent, caught in an unnatural sleep. The failed princes scoffed from the hallway, whispering that a commoner could never succeed where they had failed. Liam ignored them. He approached the bed, his heart pounding. He saw not a prize to be won, but the woman he loved, trapped and helpless. He thought of her kindness or laughter that he'd only heard in his dreams, and the hope she gave to her people. Leaning down, filled with a love that was pure and selfless, he gently kissed her lips. For a moment, nothing happened. A heavy silence filled the room. Then, a soft golden light began to emanate from Ilara. It grew brighter and brighter, filling the room with a warm, magical glow. The princess's eyelashes fluttered. Her eyes, the color of a clear spring sky, slowly opened. She looked around, confused, until her gaze fell upon Liam, who was watching her with tears of joy in his eyes. She didn't see a woodcarver or a commoner. She saw the gentle heart and unwavering love that had just saved her. A slow, beautiful smile spread across her face. The curse was broken. The kingdom erupted in celebration, not just for the princess's awakening, but for the triumph of true love. Liam, the humble woodcarver, proved that love is not measured by wealth or status, but by the depth of one's heart. He and Princess Ilara were married, and they ruled the kingdom with the same courage, wisdom, and kindness that had brought them together, living happily ever after. Their story became a legend, a timeless reminder that the greatest magic of all is, and always will be, true love. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves a good fairy tale.